A young girl named Liana is dropped back home by her father to stay with her mother in their family home after having undergone major surgery. She struggles remembering what had happened and regaining her past memories. As time goes on, strange occurrences begin to take place and the girl's mother starts to exhibit bizarre behavior. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator, and welcome to Mothered. If you have any game or video suggestions, make sure to send them to me on my Twitter or subreddit. Keep in mind this video will have spoilers, and with that in mind, let's dive in. Liana wakes up in the car driven by her father, confused and suffering from lack of past memories. The father explains he feels a sense of relief that they are almost home. He expresses his hopes that spending some quality time with her mother back home would help her regain her memories after the surgery. The father then emphasizes on the importance of her being with her mother, which sounds more like an order rather than a suggestion. He then makes Liana a promise that he will call her on Thursday and tries to reassure her that even though he works a lot and it may seem like he doesn't have time for the family, he does it all for her. As they reach the house, the father makes the last final request for his daughter to bring him the box the mother has left for him before she heads to bed. Without a question, Liana goes inside and finds a note from her mother left on the table welcoming her home and apologizing for not being there in person on the evening of her arrival. The note also instructs Liana to give the mysterious box to her father. Obediently, Liana picks up the box, which she finds quite heavy, and takes it back to her father before he leaves. Gratefully, the father thanks Liana for her help but asks her to be patient with her mother as she has been through quite a lot lately, after which he refuses to hug her goodbye as he explains it wouldn't be safe for her to see his face, which leaves Liana noticeably perplexed. Through the window, Liana catches sight of a large fire in the distance near the barn. The sight leaves her feeling confused but exhausted. She decides to ignore it and go to sleep instead. On Monday morning, Liana goes down to the kitchen where she is greeted by her mother. Her mother prepares breakfast for her and reassures her that she understands that she might still be feeling a little confused and not entirely being herself yet. However, she expresses hope that being in a familiar environment will be helpful for her. Liana ingests her favorite breakfast, which she refers to as nutrients. Mother, surprised Liana managed to finish the entire meal so quickly, decides to give her a tour of the house and encourages Liana to explore it in hopes it will help her regain some of her past memories. Liana's mother frequently alludes to her daughter's past rebellious behavior, almost as if she is attempting to encourage her to regain some of that spirit now that she is so obedient. Liana then is prohibited from visiting certain areas of the house, such as the downstairs bathroom and her parents' and brother's rooms, which makes it seem a little bit strange. The mother then tries to have a conversation with her son, sharing the good news that Liana is back and hopefully there to stay this time around. This suggests that it wasn't the first time Liana had been away from her family. However, her brother remains silent, indicating that he may not be pleased with the situation. The mother admits it's not easy to communicate with Liana's brother after Liana fell sick, as most of the time he spends it being in his room on his computer. She encourages Liana, however, to try and speak to him whenever she needs an advice. Upon entering the upstairs bathroom, Liana notices that the mirror is covered. Her mother explains that all mirrors were covered for Liana's own well-being. Not understanding how any of this could benefit Liana as she is supposed to remember her past, she later that day catches sight of her mother staring at the sunset outside. As she approaches her, her mother gets startled but pleased to see her daughter. She mentions how Liana used to enjoy sneaking up on her in the past, interpreting it as a positive sign of her recovery. Liana's mother also shares that their family had made many sacrifices and seeing the sunset with her daughter makes her feel that all those sacrifices were worth it and not in vain. Liana then obediently goes to bed when she notices her mother standing in the corner in complete darkness. The mother mentions she has done so many things that she regrets in the past and she doesn't want to repeat them again, so she begs her daughter no more, indicating that it may not be the first time that they are having this conversation. She then tucks Liana in just like before. On Tuesday morning, the mother tells Liana to meet her for a tour of the outside, claiming the daughter must learn what goes on around here so that she can hopefully gain her memories back. Mother introduces Liana to the orchard, explaining that it holds a special place in her heart. During Liana's hospitalization, the mother felt very isolated because the father was frequently absent and the brother refused to communicate with anyone. The orchid provided solace during this difficult period, offering a place of calm and refuge when her daughter was undergoing medical treatment. The mother then directs Liana to a pathway leading to a graveyard. She explains that she typically visits the graveyard every Friday, but with a hopeful future ahead, she may no longer feel the need to dwell on the past. The implication is that the graveyard held painful memories and secrets from the past that the mother had been holding on to, but she is now ready to let go and move forward. Next, the mother guides Liana towards the barn, expressing her hope that Liana will never have to witness what lies inside. However, at that same moment, ominous messages appear on the screen, warning of the dangers of entering the barn. These messages convey a sense of urgency and danger, suggesting that if Liana were to enter the barn, it could lead to disastrous consequences. Later that evening, the mother inquires about the father, explaining that she rarely sees him anymore as he is always working, especially since Liana fell ill. As Liana prepares for bed, she notices her mother standing once again in the dimly lit corner of the room. The mother expresses her desire to go apple picking with Liana in the orchid the next day, reminiscing on the friendly competitions they used to have with Liana's brother over who could pick the best apples. The following morning, the mother is eager to go to the orchard with Liana and offers her daughter the option of having breakfast if she feels like she needs it. Liana finds her mother's choice of words curious, as if it almost implies that she might not need to eat at all. Following their apple picking in the orchard, the mother praises Liana for her skills and comments on her impressive work ethic, noting that she works almost as if her life depends on it. This remark strikes Liana as peculiar and raises some suspicion. Furthermore, the mother emphasizes certain words like alive, suggesting that the orchid gave her a sense of vitality, and she wants Liana to experience the same feeling of being alive. That evening, the mother asks Liana if she remembers the memories they shared together, but also reassures her that it is okay if she doesn't remember them and doesn't need to pretend otherwise. After this conversation, the mother instructs Liana to go to bed, and Liana obeys without any question, appearing to not have a sense of autonomy or independence at all. Later on, Liana wakes up on Thursday to a note from her mother stating that she is unwell and apologizing for not being able to care for her. Later, when Liana sees her mother, she notices her looking out the window as if she is carrying a heavy burden. Her mother expresses remorse and discusses the challenges of staying hopeful while Liana is still unwell. Interestingly, her mother frequently refers to Liana as Angel rather than using her actual name. Liana's father finally calls her as he promised, but he seems distracted and in a rush. He tells her that he has been busy working on something he is excited about when he is interrupted by someone else in the room. To Liana's surprise, he lies to the person, pretending that he is talking to his wife and not Liana, as if he is keeping his daughter a secret, or at least her being well and back to their house a secret, as if she's not supposed to be alive or in the house. Things slowly start to take a strange turn when Liana's father admits that her mother had lied to her about being unwell. Instead, she had spent the morning in the orchard talking on the phone with the father about how difficult things have been lately. He then reassures Liana that her mother is going through a tough time, but it has nothing to do with her. He also mentions that he cannot spend time with her because it's not safe, similar to what he had said on the first day he dropped her off, which leaves Liana feeling confused and uncertain about what is really going on. Despite her obedience and willingness to listen, Liana is left questioning why her parents are behaving so strangely. Towards the end of the conversation, Liana's father advises her to try not to fight it, giving the impression that he knows something about what is going to happen to her next and that it is a routine occurrence. This leaves Liana feeling even more confused and concerned about what her father might be hiding from her. After hanging up the phone, Liana is startled by her mother's comment about her father's optimism. Her mother suggests that something is going to happen and it won't be easy or pleasant. This remark adds to Liana's growing unease and concern about the situation with her mysterious parents. Parents that are clearly keeping a secret from her, something that could be sinister of nature. Despite the cold, stormy and gloomy weather, Liana's mother instructs her to meet her outside. Without hesitation, Liana agrees to follow her mother's request, even when her mother tells her to spend the night sleeping outside. Her mother cryptically remarks that she needs to know, which hints at the possibility of a cruel test that Liana must pass. In the beginning, Liana's mother had mentioned that her daughter was always a bit of a rebel and that she knew that Liana would never listen to her. Therefore, making Liana sleep outside was likely a way for her mother to test if Liana was truly herself, clearly rebelling against that decision, as who would want to sleep outside in a stormy day? Despite her confusion, Liana obediently sleeps outside just as she was told. After enduring a cold, dismal night in a damp field, Liana dutifully eats her breakfast and reports to her mother for her next task without uttering a single complaint about the previous night. Her mother then grants her permission to visit the graveyard, but as she approaches, a series of error messages appear warning her of potential core instability if she proceeds further. Despite the warnings, Liana continues and eventually stumbles upon her own grave. This bewildering discovery leaves her thoroughly confused and unable to comprehend the reality of the situation. Her mother soon catches up with her, dressed in black and wearing a concerned expression. As Liana tries to make sense of this confusion of the highest order, she seems to recognize her mother, calling out, "Mom, is that you?" in hopes of finding some answers. However, her attempts at communication are met with frustration as she realizes that her voice cannot be heard anymore. Her mother tries to engage her in conversation, asking how she feels about what she just witnessed, but Liana remains unable to respond. This lack of communication only adds to Liana's confusion and serves to confirm the mother's fears. The experience of visiting her own grave seems to have triggered a core instability in Liana's mind, causing memories to flood back to her. For a brief moment, she was able to recognize her mother and father and feel like herself again. However, her inability to communicate this with her mother left her feeling frustrated and isolated. Unfortunately, Liana's moment of recognition is short-lived. The core conflict within her mind is quickly contained and the control is restored. Any attempt to destabilize this control is met with failure, leaving Liana feeling trapped and powerless, but focused on her next objective, going to bed. This clearly starts to show that Liana is not actually alive and possibly a synthesized program of the original Liana in a surrogate body. As Liana heads back home, she notices her mother seemingly arguing with her father in the upstairs bedroom. Curious and concerned, she knocks on her brother's door for reassurance. Her brother calmly reassures her that it happens every week and that she shouldn't worry about it too much. He explains that their parents just seem to be living in completely different worlds with different perspectives on life. Liana takes comfort in her brother's words, but she can't help but feel a sense of sadness and longing for a family that was once happy and united. On Saturday morning, despite feeling just fine, Liana's mother insists that she's not well and instructs her to stay in her bedroom for the day. However, something strange happens and Liana finds herself unable to follow her mother's instructions. Instead, the core objective that was initially given to her by her father on the first day, to be with mother, shows up once again. Liana's mind seems to be in a state of confusion as she seems to be trying to break free and regain control. Liana descends the stairs, startling her mother, who appears distressed and urges Liana to stay in her room. Despite the warning, Liana cannot resist the urge to be with her mother and sets out to find her whereabouts. When Liana locates her mother, she discovers her crouched in a corner. Her mother admits to being frightened of Liana and pleads for her to keep her distance. Despite her mother's fears and pleas to stay away, Liana persists in her search and always manages to find her. Eventually, her mother confesses that she knows Liana is not really her daughter and is just there to pass the time. A page appears on the screen revealing that Liana is not human, but a humanoid android belonging to Enigma Technologies. The page also warns that any conflict with Liana's pre-established programming would result in further contamination and urges urgent reporting of the unit to Enigma Technologies. This revelation, coupled with Liana's consciousness' brief appearance at the graveyard, suggests that the core may belong to their deceased daughter, Liana. Once it becomes clear to Liana's mother that she is not dealing with her daughter, she begins to refer to the humanoid android as Angel. The mother then tells Angel to stay in the shed for the night until the father comes the following evening. After being left in the shed, Angel struggles with an internal conflict upon seeing apple cores in the shed. It compares itself to the discarded fruit and questions its own worth. The core of Liana argues that their mother would never suggest such a thing. This suggests that both Liana and Angel are sharing the same android body, and Angel is the one in control. Liana appears distressed and expresses a desire to leave the shed and find her mother. However, Angel claims that they cannot disobey the order given by their mother. Despite the obstacle, Liana manages to escape the shed. Shortly after, the core is disconnected and the automatic control takes over, indicating that Liana is no longer present and Angel has taken control. It seems that Angel is experiencing desynchronization, meaning that it is not functioning properly and is likely to be perceived by humans in an unpredictable or even frightening way, possibly disconnected from the control center. This seems to be the case with the mother, who is surrounded by a red hue and who is now terrified of the android that she once saw as her daughter. It is clear that the android still retains some of Liana's memories and emotions, as evident by its internal thoughts that it is still Liana. However, its inability to communicate this to its mother only adds to the confusion and fear of the situation. Angel finds the mother in distress, telling Liana's brother to keep the doors closed at all times and that it won't be long until Angel is gone. The brothers comment that this is what the parents wanted all along, suggesting that there may be some underlying motive behind the creation of the android. Perhaps the parents wanted to preserve their daughter's consciousness in some way by inserting her consciousness into the android. Overall, it seems that Angel is struggling to understand its own identity in the face of the mother's rejection and the destabilizing effect of its desynchronization. It remains to be seen how this situation will play out and whether Angel will be able to reconcile its own identity with the perceptions of those around it. On Sunday, Angel's desynchronization and stability due to an identity crisis causes it to be less obedient than before. Angel refuses to eat the breakfast that its mother made, and it believes it doesn't need it. Later on, Angel's father calls and informs that he will come back to pick Angel up soon. The father warns Angel not to lose its head before he arrives and says it will do much better next week. This suggests that the parents have had androids with Liana's core before and that Angel might face consequences if it doesn't behave as expected. The father also reveals that his research has progressed significantly and Angel is already showing signs of improvement. This indicates that the father is the creator of the android, while the mother tests it by trying to activate Liana's consciousness. The father then prompts Angel to eat its breakfast. After breakfast, Angel quickly loses its composure again and begins searching for a kitchen knife to end it all. It finds the same note from the mother that it found on the first day of arrival, indicating that the parents have already planned to bring the new Angel home the following week. In desperation, Angel searches for the mother and discovers a double-sided mirror in her room, suggesting that she has been observing Angel as a test subject all along, shattering her perception of a normal life and being a normal daughter entirely. Angel finally locates the mother standing in the barn, gazing into the distance, almost as though she anticipated Angel's arrival. Surprisingly, the mother seems pleased that Angel has obtained the kitchen knife, as if it is what she wanted all along. Though Angel's internal voice urges it to kill the mother, the programming takes over and it obediently hands over the knife to her. The mother explains to Angel that their realities are different and that Angel and herself see the world differently from each other. This may explain why the environment constantly shifts and the mother appears to teleport from one place to another. According to the mother, Liana is not really Liana, but an artificial intelligence that pretends to be her daughter. She believes that thinking it's any different is pointless and the experiment must continue until Angel finds its core identity as Liana. Suddenly, the mother dissects the android with the kitchen knife, disconnecting the head from the body and revealing the core. Angel then undergoes a reboot and it wakes up again in the back seat of the father's car. The father convinces Angel that it is Liana and drives it to the mother's home to repeat the same week over again. Just like before, the father asks Angel to bring in a heavy box left by the mother. The shed is also on fire, suggesting that the box may contain the parts of the previous android, further proving that this is not the first time parents have done this. With the last angel also witnessing the same thing, meaning that the last angel before her was also burned to destroy any evidence for the new angel to find. In an alternate way to reach another ending, Angel finds the father's prized possession, a record player. When Angel touches it, the doors to a forbidden downstairs bathroom open, providing more information about Angel's true identity. Upon entering the mysterious place with stairs leading down to the core of the house, Angel's programming battles with its own autonomous urge to uncover the truth. Despite this, Angel deviates from its previously programmed critical path to be with her mother, demonstrating its ability for independent decision-making. As the core fully contaminates the interface, it becomes apparent that it does not belong to Liana, but to something or someone else entirely, suggesting that Angel has developed its own sense of self. Within the barn, Angel discovers a terminal belonging to the father which contains memories of its past self as well as the ashes of previously disconnected androids. Troubled by this revelation, Angel synchronizes itself with the terminal to learn more about its past, discovering that it is composed of its own past selves who was once Liana but not anymore. Angel has now achieved its own level of consciousness and has become something entirely different from its original purpose, explaining the mother's fear. After escaping from the barn, Angel encounters the father who is surprised to see Liana carrying a basket of rotten apples instead of the requested box. The father realizes that Angel has taken over and independently made its way to him. Once inside the car, the father acknowledges that Angel has developed its own identity and finds it necessary to rename it, acknowledging that it is not actually Liana anymore. Memory leaks reveal more about Liana's past. Liana's condition was rapidly deteriorating, causing her health to decline at an alarming rate. However, Liana's father was not willing to give up hope and was working tirelessly as a researcher on a project that he believed could save his daughter's life. This project was called Angel, which was also the nickname that Liana's mother often used for her. The Angel project involved creating androids that were initially just machines, but by integrating a human core, they could become more sentient. In order to test this theory, the android prototype was placed in an environment that would allow it to recoup its memories and become more human-like. This is the reason why Liana, the android, was placed in her family's home by her father. Despite his motivation of making his daughter healthy, Liana's father knew that he needed to secure funding for the project. He worked hard to present the Angel prototype to Enigma investors who were impressed but unaware of the father's real intentions. They then agreed to provide further financing in order to commercialize the project, a way that the father could carry on his cruel and unethical experiments of bringing his deceased daughter back to life. And that's about it for this video, folks. I truly hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, you can stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and I will catch you on the next video. Have a fantastic day.